Then Pilate delivered Jesus to them to be crucified. And he, bearing his cross, went forth into a place called the place of the skull.
In this whole journey, am I one of the soldiers? Am I one of the women who wiped the face of Jesus? Am I one of those who cried for him along the way? Am I just one of those who stood at the side? Am I one of those who, without knowing the facts, would spit at him? We just were ruled by the crowd and we made our conclusions based on what the crowd was saying, and we spat at him and threw rubbish at him. So who am I? There would have been some who would have been, I don't know if anybody could be happy, but we all have that sadistic side in us. How many of us say, when we hear bad news about somebody, we say, well, what goes around comes around? How often have we thought this ourselves? And I think this journey needs us to reflect on that.
Just a personal reflection, I see myself in so many of these characters. The hesitant Simon of Cyrene, the spontaneous Veronica who just like leaves everything and does. Sadly, I'm being more like a Simon more these days than a Veronica. I think when I was younger, I was more a Veronica. In this year, especially, where we couldn't be the Veronica we wanted to be, or we needed to do different things, and so became a hesitant Simon. I was deeply aware of being one of those women in Jerusalem where it was just prayer. Like it's that, stop doing, stop think, just be silent and pray.
I agree with Melanie. I think that at different times, I can see myself in the different characters along the way. But especially recently and today, when Norman first spoke about it, I kept thinking of the words not being present. I feel that sometimes that's what I do to shield myself from pain or shield myself from seeing pain or feeling pain. And I thought about Peter. Peter just wasn't there. He said, I would do anything for you. And then he denied Jesus and ran away. And I see myself very much in that position. I shield myself from suffering. And I think it's the easy thing to do because it's comfortable and it doesn't ask much of me. I was just thinking earlier on today, I was talking to one of my classmates, and the next placement I have coming up is my psychiatry kind of placement. And I was telling her, like, I'm really scared and I don't want to do this block. And she was asking me why. And I was telling her, I think with things like medicine and surgery, you go in, you fix the problem, like you find out the problem and you fix it. And, you can see the person isn't in pain anymore, or they feel a lot better, or they're back to themselves, and you go away. But it's really hard to see people in psychiatry, especially with things like schizophrenia and these long-term conditions where it's kind of like a life sentence and they're suffering, and you have to see that, and you don't have a solution most of the time. You either you try something and it either works or maybe it won't. And it's hard to watch that, and it's hard to be present in that suffering.
I like to think of the meaning of suffering. This is the way of suffering. When I was younger, I tried to avoid suffering. If I didn't want to see someone else suffer. Like we tried to find a solution, quick solution. How can we stop this suffering? How can we stop this suffering? Or if we are suffering, we search for a solution all the time. We spend all our energies trying to stop this suffering and trying to say no, this can't be. No, it can't be. So at that point in time, if I was walking this way of the cross, I would have been one of those who ran away to the next hill and watched from far away. But it's so compelling to watch suffering. Like Lou and I were driving down the road there one day, and during the pandemic, the heart of the pandemic, and we saw the cop van over there, and there was this man who was like on the floor, and we could hear like wailing. I said, what's happened? And now that I'm older, I wanted to go and see. But if I was younger, I would have gone to the next road and turned and walked from the next road. But now I'm drawn to suffering. I wanted to go there and I wanted to be with that person who was suffering, and I didn't want that person. I wanted to help that person. How can I take suffering into my heart, into my home? How can I embrace suffering? Not only accept it, but embrace it. That's the difficult part of it. And then I look at Mary and I'm like, maybe I would be one of those women next to Mary, walking with her and trying to understand a little bit from her. Maybe she would just look at me and tell me, it's okay, I'm here.